Good morning. I'd like to call the June 10th Committee of Adjustment meeting to order. And first of all, I would like to welcome our new planner, Teslin Heron. And that was welcome. And today's meeting is being live streamed and recorded on the Township of Muskoka Lakes website and YouTube channel. By participating in the open public meeting today, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and posted online. And we'll start by calling the meeting to order, which we did. The adoption of the agenda. Moved by member Bridgman, second by member Stokes. Be it resolved that Committee of Adjustment agenda dated June 10th, 2024 be adopted. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, have the adoption of the minutes. Moved by member Grogan Green, second by member Bridgman. Be it resolved that Committee of Adjustment minutes dated May 13th, 2024 be adopted and approved as circulated. Any questions or comments on that? All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, would you like that?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It is required that I make a few statements, then I will explain the hearing procedures. This electronic hearing is being held in accordance with Section 238 of the Municipal Act 2001. The members of the Committee of Adjustment present are Alan Edwards, Barb Bridgman, Lisa Grogan Green, and Sean Stokes. I can confirm we have quorum and that senior staff and planning staff are present. Public input on this June 10th agenda was invited at the following email address: planning@muskokalakes.ca. Now I will explain the hearing process. The planner will provide an explanation and purpose of the application, the date the notice was circulated, and planning staff's comments. All internal and external submissions have been provided to committee members by Friday, June 7th, 2024. The planner will present any submissions received after this date. The committee will hear from the applicant or the applicant's agent if they wish to add any information or to substantiate their proposal. Please provide your name, mailing address, and postal code for our records. The committee will hear from those in support of the application and those in opposition to the application. Again, please provide your name, mailing address, and postal code for our records. Presentations are limited to 5 minutes unless otherwise permitted by the committee. If you are here to speak on an application electronically, please wait until the planner finishes the presentation to raise your hand in Zoom. If you are here to speak on an application in person, when asked, please raise your hand, and when you are recognized by the chair, please approach the podium, turn on the microphone, and remain at the podium while you state your comments for recording purposes. The committee will hear from the applicant or the applicant's agent to respond to any questions or concerns raised. The committee will then have the opportunity to ask questions, have a debate on the application, and make a decision based on the information presented at the hearing. Please note that the effect of written and oral submissions on decisions for consent and minor variances, along with the reasons for minor variance decisions, are both required under the Planning Act, and motions are pre-populated with standard wording. However, the committee may decide to add reasons and/or effects to the standard wording after voting on a decision. Motions have also been pre-populated with random movers and seconders to expedite the meeting and are automatically written in the positive to assist in completing decisions as opposed to writing out each resolution. This does not in any way mean an application is going to be approved. When it is time to vote, members shall physically raise their hand until the chair has confirmed the vote. If the vote is unclear, a verbal vote shall be recorded. This is not considered a recorded vote. It must be noted the chair has a vote on each application and can participate in the discussion. There is a 20-day appeal period from the date of the decision. Building permits are not available until after the appeal period and if no appeals are received. Lastly, please take down the pink notice signs that were posted on your property to advertise today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Borth. And the first application is B 1424 ML, and that is Little, and that is Ms. Heron.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The first application to be heard is consent application B 1424 in the name of Little. So the retained lot has no municipal address. I would like to direct committee's attention to the consent sketch on page 25 of the agenda package. The purpose and effect of this application is to create one additional lot with frontage on Muskoka Road 169. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 19 days in advance of this meeting, and 3 comments have been received to date. Comments were received by Nick Snyder, the Township's chief building official, stating no objection. Comments were received by Tim Sopko, the manager of Public Works, stating a condition of approval should be the confirmation of the availability of an entrance permit from the District of Muskoka for the severed lot, which has been included as a condition should committee consider approval. Comments were also received from planning staff from the District of Muskoka, requesting that the applicant obtain a conditional permit from the District of Muskoka for the proposed severed lot for access onto the district road, and that the lands be subject to an agreement with the District Municipality of Muskoka pursuant to section 5126 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 as amended, respecting the locations of wells in relation to district roads. Next slide. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended the application be approved subject to the following. 1, that the satisfactory registrable descriptions, deed of the severed lot, and any required right-of-ways be submitted to the township along with a registered copy of the reference plan. 2, that cash in lieu of parkland be dedicated to the township in the amount of 5% of the assessed value for the newly created vacant lot or the entire lands, whatever's less. Confirmation that the township, confirmation be received that the township is satisfied that the severed and retained lots are satisfactory for on-site sewage disposal, and that any problems identified with the existing sewage system be corrected to the satisfaction of the township. Next slide. That the lands be subject to an agreement with the District Municipality of Muskoka pursuant of section 5126 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 as amended, respecting the location of wells in relation to district roads. That the applicant obtain written confirmation from the District of Muskoka that an entrance permit can be issued for the proposed severed lot for access onto the district road, and an entrance permit can be issued by the District of Muskoka or the Township's Operational Services Department for the retained lot if necessary. And that a satisfactory site plan agreement for the severed lot be entered into and registered on title, along with any necessary securities for the retention of vegetation and any necessary plantings to maintain the roadside vegetation buffer and to ensure appropriate development for the severed lot. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Heron. Is the applicant or applicant's agent here wishing to speak on this?
We're here to speak on behalf of Mary.
Would you like to say anything or?
Well, sure, I guess we have Mary.
Oh, you have
Can
to
you
have to
come up
come
to
up
the
to the mic,
microphone?
put it on. We need your name and address and postal code, please.
Okay. My name is Candace Piggott, and my husband, Brandon Piggott. So we are applying on behalf of Mary Lou Little for the severed lot, hoping to purchase it and build, a family home. So I just wanted to be here to introduce ourselves, and we both own businesses locally in Muskoka, and live here year round. So we're hoping to stay living here year round.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I have to ask, is there anyone else here wishing to speak in?
We need her name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't get your name and address and postal code.
1060 Redwood Road, Port Carling, P0B1J0.
And you got the name?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have to ask, is there anyone else wishing to speak in support of this application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? No? Okay. Are there questions from the members? No questions. Moved by member Stokes, second by member Grogan Green. Be it resolved that consent be granted for application P 1424 ML Little, provided the following conditions are fulfilled. 1, a satisfactory registrable description deed of the separate lot and any required right-of-ways be submitted to the township along with a registered copy of the reference plan. 2, that cash in lieu of parkland be dedicated to the township in the amount of 5% of the assessed value of the newly created vacant lot or the entire lands, whichever is less. 3, that confirmation be received that the township is satisfied that the severed and retained lots are satisfactory for on-site sewage disposal, that any problems identified with any existing sewage system be corrected to the satisfaction of the township. 4, that the lands are subject to the agreement with the district municipality of Muskoka pursuant to section 5126 of the Planning Act, ROS 1990, as amended, respecting the location of wells in relationship to District Road, and 5, that the applicant obtain written permission from the District of Muskoka that an entrance permit can be issued for the proposed severed lot for access on the District Road, and an entrance permit can be issued by the District of Muskoka or the Township's Operational Service Department for the retained lot if necessary. And 6, that a satisfactory site plan agreement for the severed lot be entered into and registered on title, along with any necessary securities for the retention of vegetation and any necessary plantings to maintain the roadside vegetation buffer and to ensure that appropriate development on this severed lot. And that's it. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. So it looks like you have your severance. And the next application is B 15 and 16 ML, 24 ML. D'Souza. And that is again, Ms. Herron.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is consent application B 15/16, 2024 ML in the name of D'Souza. I would like to direct committee's attention to the consent sketch on page 38 of the agenda package. I will note that there was a clerical error on the application number labeled on the site plan drawings in the staff report. However, the correct site plans are attached to committee's agenda, so I apologize for that. The purpose and the effect of this application is to sever and add land to the abutting lots. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 19 days in advance of the meeting, and 2 comments were received to date. Comments were received from Nick Schneider, the Township's Chief of Building Official, Tim Sopko, the Manager of Public Works, and the District Municipality of Muskoka, all stating no objections to this application. Next slide. This slide is the second site plan. So the first one just showed the first lot addition, and this is the second lot addition. So next slide. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved subject to the following conditions. That a registrable deed of the severed lot and any required right-of-ways be submitted to the township along with a registered copy of the reference plan. That a legal undertaking be submitted in order to confirm that the severed lots will merge on title to the lots they are being added to upon registration of the transfers/deeds, which may require breaking or canceling any previous consent. That consent application B 16/24 ML be finalized prior to consent application B15/24/ML. And that confirmation be received that the resultant lots 1 and 2 are satisfactory for on-site sewage disposal, and that any problems identified with any existing sewage systems on the resultant lots be corrected to the satisfaction of the township. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions committee might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant or applicant's agent here wishing to speak on this? Good morning. Okay, go ahead, sir. I think you're on mute. You're still on mute.
Is that better?
That's
Can you
better.
hear me?
We can hear you now.
Thank you. So I'll start again. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for hearing my application. My name is Victor D'Souza. I'm located at 1117 Buckeye Road, Unit 4, McTier, and the postal code is Peter 0 Charlie 1 Henry 0. I've owned the property for more than 30 years. I'm a year-round resident. And the severances were last done by myself in 1995. So we're simply moving the lot lines to ensure better privacy for lot 3. We do not plan any development on the vacant lots. I believe that's all I have to say to the committee. I'm not really sure what the issues are with the sewage. We've requested the sewage report from the township, but haven't received it. So I'm not sure what the issues are with the septic. I believe it is on our property, but happy to answer any questions that the committee has.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in support? Anyone in opposition? Are there questions from the members? No? Excuse me. Moved by member Bridgman, second by member Stokes, be it resolved that consent be granted for application B 151624 ML D'Souza. Provided following conditions are fulfilled. 1, a registrable description deed of the severed lots and any required right of way be submitted to the township along with a registered copy of the reference plan. 2, that a legal undertaking be submitted in order to confirm that the severed lots will merge in title to the lots they are being added to upon registration of the transfers/deeds, which may require breaking or canceling a previous consent. 3, that consent application B16 ML be finalized prior to the consent application B1524 ML. And 4, that confirmation be received that resultant lot 1 and 2 are satisfactory for on-site sewage disposal, that any problems identified with any existing sewage system on resultant lot be corrected to the satisfaction of the township. And that is it. So any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. And the next application is A3224, and that's Jefferson, that's minor variance. And that is Ms. Beamish.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A-3224 in the name of Jefferson. The subject lands are known municipally as 1020 Gordon Street. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 70 of the agenda package. The purpose and effect of the application is to remove an existing sun deck and construct an addition to an existing dwelling. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 11 days in advance of this meeting, and 2 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Nick Schneider, the township's chief building official, stating no objection to the application. Comments were also received from Tim Sopko, the township's manager of public works, stating that the reduction in setbacks from the road allowance can present future maintenance issues and increased cost associated with the tree maintenance, and operational services recommends that setbacks from road allowances should be achieved whenever possible. It is understood that the setback has been established by existing structures, provided that the proposal will not result in a lesser setback than what currently exists. Operational services can accept this as an existing condition and can support the application. The proposed variances are summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved subject to the following: that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title along with securities for retention of vegetation and plantings to maintain and revegetate the shoreline buffer. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much. And is the applicant or applicant's agent here wishing to speak on this?
Here soon, but I don't. Oh, she's coming in.
Good.
She declined.
Is the applicant still coming in? Can you turn your sound and video on, please? Okay, go ahead.
There, can you see us?
Yeah, are you listening, watching it as well? Because it is a slight delay in the time.
Yes, we are watching.
Okay. Oh,
Wonder if that's better. Okay, do you have any comments?
No.
yeah, if you turn off the phone part, maybe it'll help. Trying to come back.
Yeah, they left.
We'll give them a minute to come back in. They're still not trying to come back in. Did the committee have any questions on this application? Yes.
Yeah, I have one question with respect to, on page 60, we're talking about the, under the analysis, we discussed the need for dark sky compliance. And I just want to understand or make sure that that forms part of the site plan agreement, or is that something that needs to be specified separately within the resolution?
Yes, Bryce?
Through you, Chair Edwards, and thank you for your question, Member Stokes. It's just a standard requirement in our site plan agreements that we include provisions with respect to a requirement for dark sky compliant lighting. So there would be a requirement, and as part of entering into the site plan agreement, the owner would agree to utilize dark sky compliant lighting. So it's essentially like a full cutoff light fixture for exterior lights.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, try with your sound, please.
We have no comments.
Have you got another computer on? Have you got two and that device is on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you turn one of them off, please? Okay, try now.
Okay, is that better?
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay,
So you
sorry
have your
about that.
Name, address, and postal code, please.
Okay, my name is Krista Jefferson, 1020 Gordon Street, Bala. P0C1A0.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
We don't have any comments after all that.
No, that's fine. Are there any questions from the committee? Okay. Oh, yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to note that staff had in your resolution, you'll note that the variances are 18.5 feet instead of 18.9. We just thought that we should include a little bit of flexibility for the applicants. So you'll just note in the resolution the setbacks are 18.5 feet versus 18.9 as stated in the notice. We typically do that. But I just wanted to let you know before it got read that that's the case.
The setback is 18.5
Yep,
and originally it was 18.9.
18.9. Yeah. So it was like the setback that was included in the notice was a bang on setback of 18.9, and we just thought that it made sense to reduce the setback by a small amount to provide the applicants with a little bit of flexibility. Which is normally what we do. It just had been missed in this particular instance.
Okay. Moved by member Grogan Green, second by member Bridgman. Be it resolved that application A 3224 Jefferson to demolish an existing sun deck and to construct an addition to an existing dwelling is hereby approved with the following variances being granted. 1, to permit a maximum side yard setback of 18.5 feet at the closest point from the exterior side lot line of the dwelling addition. 2, to permit a minimum setback of 18.5 feet at the closest point from the lot line abutting a non-open road allowance, and to permit a maximum front yard setback of 34 feet from a dwelling addition. These variances are granted as shown on the plan attached in the notice of decision and are subject to the following condition. One, that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title along with securities for retention of vegetation and planting to revegetate shoreline buffer. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. So thank you. That was passed. And the next one is a 36/24 Oakley, and that is Ms. Beamish again.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A 3624 in the name of Oatley. The subject lands are known municipally as 234 Jean Marie Road, Unit 2. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 90 of the agenda package. The purpose and effect of the application is to construct a new single-story detached garage and recognize an as-built over-length dock. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 11 days in advance of this meeting, and 2 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Tim Sopko, the Township's Manager of Operational Services, and Nick Schneider, the Township's Chief Building Official, both stating no objection to the application. The proposed variances are summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much, Ms. Beamish. As the applicant or applicant's agent, yes, here we have Mr. Fawner.
Yes, good morning, Chair Edwards, members of committee. Stephen Fawner, Northern Vision Planning Limited, 109 Meadow Heights Drive, Bracebridge, Ontario, P1L1A4. I'm here representing Roger Oatley with this particular application, and in case there are members of the public there or members that didn't have a chance to read my report, I do have a PowerPoint presentation, so hopefully that can be queued up and we can get through that fairly quickly. Thank you very much. Next, go ahead. So there's 2 parts to this application. If any committee members had the opportunity to read my report, it was strictly on the garage. I wasn't aware that the dock had not been recognized. I know that there was a previous minor variance application, and I must have misunderstood that it applied to the boathouse only and not the boathouse and the dock. So there is a very small variance for a dock that is slightly beyond the maximum length permitted. Next. So I'm just showing this. This is a building location survey that's been done. So just so that you know that the site plan is based on that. Next. And this is the site plan itself that's been drafted up, and we have the projected lines out into the water both shown. So you can see a very small portion of the dock. It's approximately 3 feet by 15 feet is over 66 feet. Next. This just zooms in a little bit to make it slightly clear. And of course, the proposed garage is outlined in yellow, which requires a variance to lot coverage. Next. This is the proposed garage as seen from the front, and this architecture will match the existing dwelling. Next. And this is just a side view, and you'll see there'll be a small amount of site alteration required to fit the garage in, but it'll be pretty minor. Thank you. Next, please. And this is actually shown. This is actually, I think, a great representation. It almost looks like it's already been built, but this is just the front elevation projected on a photograph of the property taken in the spring of this year. Next. And this shows how it's going to fit into the, it's a very small hill at this location. It's more abrupt right in behind the dwelling. Next. So in terms of site characteristics, this is taken from the dock itself, looking towards the existing dwelling. Next. And this one here again from the dock, I just wanted to point out the area at the end of the dwelling is a covered area. The garage could be potentially seen through that covered area, but you won't know whether it's part of the dwelling or not. So it really, in my opinion, doesn't have any impact. And this is the only angle that you'd be able to see the garage whatsoever. Next. And this is the area in behind the dwelling, and you can see where that yellow container is the approximate location of the proposed garage. If it was pulled towards where I'm standing there, you can see where there's more rock outcropping, and you can see the slope is steeper there. Next. And again, just shows the exact location of where the proposed garage is going to go. Next. Next. And this is just looking back in the other direction, and you can once again see that the slope is steeper right behind the dwelling than at the one end where we're proposing to put it. Next. And this is the existing boathouse on the property, and I'm standing on the dock, right about actually the location where it's slightly over 66 feet. Next. And you can see the dock here from the shore. There is a small notch in the dock, and I'm not sure what ornament that is that's out on the dock, but the area just beyond that is a small area that's beyond the 66 feet, and it's over 100 feet from the side yard setback, or from the side yard. Next. So in terms of planning analysis, the usual is natural form would dominate over built form, and I believe that that is maintained in this case. The township OP does allow you to go to 11%, provided you satisfy criteria. Next. And I'm not going to go through all the criteria, but in my opinion, we have satisfied it in this application. Next. And
Mr.
there's
Flannery,
limited
have
visual
30
impact.
seconds.
Okay. Next. And I mentioned alternative locations, so we're good there. Next. And the length of dock, again, perception from the water, you wouldn't be able to know. And the same criteria was applied in the OP, and in my opinion, this is a minor variance. Next. And I won't go through the 4 tests. Staff has agreed that it does meet the 4 tests of the minor variance, and that is my conclusion as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Right on time. Perfect. Thank you. Would the applicant, Mr. Hood, like to say something? Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in support of this application? Anyone in opposition? Are there questions from the members? Yes. Member Bridgman.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. I'm in agreement with this. The garage and the boathouse and the dock is fine. I just have a question for staff, and that is picture 80, or on page 80, it looks like a man-made beach, and then there is a interior beach area that wasn't on the site plan. Is that something that is of concern? I'm asking the staff here.
Through you, Chair Edwards, it was noted in the report that the sand area was discovered during the site visit. Because of the size of the proposed garage, the development is automatically subject to site plan control. So that's something that we're planning to kind of investigate and look into through the site plan control process. And if necessary, we can revegetate that area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Moved by member Stokes, second by member Grogan Green. Be it resolved that application A 3624 Oakley to construct a new single-story detached garage and recognize an as-built over-length dock is hereby approved with the following variances being granted. 1, to permit a maximum lot coverage of 8,801 square feet, 10.6% over the area of the entire lot. 2, to permit a maximum lot coverage of 8,801 square feet, 10.6% within 200 feet from the high water mark. And 3, to permit an as-built dock to be 69 feet in length. These variants are granted as shown on the attached plan of notice of decision. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried.
Thank you, committee. Have a great day. Thank you.
Okay, and the next application is A 3724 Haley Scott. And that is again, Ms. Beamish.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A 3724 in the name of Haley Scott. The subject lands are known municipally as 1093 Island Park Road. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 140 of the agenda package. The purpose and effect of the application is to construct a new single-story boathouse. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 13 days in advance of this meeting, and 4 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Tim Sopko, the Township's Manager of Public Works, and Nick Schneider, the Township's Chief Building Official, both stating no objection to the application. A letter of concern was also received from Diana Cottingham with concerns surrounding the orientation of the boat entry and the size of the boathouse and potential effects on the shoreline. Comments were also received this morning from Walt Capeller, an area neighbor. These comments stated in full that as we navigate neighborly relationships with the joys of rentals, we offer the following last comments. We express our disappointment with the variance process. We also regret the lack of forthrightness, transparency, and communication from our neighbors on this specific issue. We request that you and the township do your best to manage the development of our communities and lakes to reflect the intent of the bylaws to the collective benefit of all of us. The proposed variance is summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved subject to the following: that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title along with securities for retention of vegetation and plantings to maintain and revegetate the shoreline buffer. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much, Ms. Beamish. Is the applicant or applicant's agent here wishing to speak on this? Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this, either for or against? Okay. Are there any questions from the members of staff? Yes.
Oh, staff.
Well, I guess there's no applicant here, so.
My comments. Okay. Okay, so I see on page 134, it looks to me like this is already being constructed and the footings are already in for the slips in the boathouse. Am I correct on that?
Through you, Chair Edwards, the applicants do already have a building permit for the dock, which is, I believe, what is already being constructed.
So we're dealing with the extra few feet.
We're dealing with the boathouse, the extra width of the boathouse. The dock itself is.
Yeah,
is
the
permitted.
extra width of the boathouse.
Mhm.
So the dock is in compliance, but the boathouse is. All right, so having dealt with this before, where people are putting in sideways slips, and I'm hoping in the review of the comprehensive bylaws, I'll be standing up talking about this. It's a huge impact on the neighbor next door because guess where those boats come by every single time. So in terms of safety and privacy, I think that's the argument against them facing that way. And so I actually cannot support this application.
I have. Yeah, I hadn't even seen any of the letters or comments and I was already wondering about it because the lot is so small and thinking about boats going into the boathouse right across where somebody might be swimming. I also have a question related to the cupola because I did read on the zoning bylaw that a person is allowed, I think, a 10 by 10 foot cupola. I can't remember if there's a height restriction. I'm not sure that there is, but probably. But is it within our rights to say a person cannot have one if it's in the bylaw just as a condition to say get rid of that?
Yes, Mr. Sharp.
You, Chair Edwards, The cupola that's proposed is fully compliant with the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw permits a cupola not exceeding 100 square feet in size with no floor area, and it's actually exempt from the height requirement. I suppose committee, ultimately the application is in your hands, and if you feel that that has a significant bearing on the matter, it is something that could be considered as part of your decision with respect to whether you think that's appropriate or not. Ultimately, what we're looking at is boathouse width, and I just take the opportunity to comment on Member Bridgman's concern. Certainly, totally get where you're coming from, and it is certainly something that could be investigated as part of the upcoming comprehensive zoning bylaw review. But as Ms. Beamish had indicated, this dock is going to be constructed. It's under construction. There's been a building permit issued, and the boat slips are going to be there, whether or not they're covered with a boathouse or not. So I would just make that comment for you. Ultimately, what it is that we're dealing with is again, single-story boathouse width, and the development is otherwise fully compliant with the zoning bylaw provisions, including side yard setbacks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Just to reiterate, I agree with Member Bridgman's comments on the orientation of the dock, but then in reading the analysis or the discussion from staff on page 130, it certainly sounds like there's not a whole lot we can do about it.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Moved by Member Bridgman, second by Member Grogan Green, be it resolved that application A37 Haley Scott to construct a single-story boathouse is hereby approved with the following variances being granted. 1, to permit a single-story boathouse to be 28 feet in cumulative width. This variance is granted as shown on a plan attached to the notice of decision and is subject to the following condition. 1, that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title along with securities for retention of vegetation and plantings, and 2, retain and revegetate the shoreline buffer. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? All those opposed? And that is defeated. The next application is A3824 Smith. That is again Ms. Beamish.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A3824 in the name of Smith. The subject lands are known municipally as 1259 Tribble Road, Unit 25. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 161 of the agenda package. The purpose and effect of the application is to construct a dwelling addition on an existing sundeck. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 13 days in advance of this meeting, and 2 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Tim Sopko, the Township's Manager of Public Works, and Nick Schneider, the Township's Chief Building Official, both stating no objection to the application. The proposed variance is summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant's agent here wishing to speak on this?
Yes, hello. My name is Sherry Smith and my postal code is L7N1G7, and I have no further comments to add to their analysis.
Sorry, can you give us your full address, please?
My Burlington address is 3226 Douglas Street in Burlington, postal code L7N1G7.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in support or opposition? Okay. Are there questions from the members? No? Moved by member Grogan Green, second by member Stokes, be it resolved that application A 3824 Smith to construct a dwelling addition on an existing sun deck is hereby approved with the following variance being granted. One, to permit a front yard setback to be 62.5 feet at the closest point for the enclosed sunroom. This variance is granted as shown on a plan attached to the notice of decision. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is carried. And we have, there's no new business comments. Moved by member Stokes, second by member Bridgman, be it resolved that the meeting adjourned at 9:51 a.m. All those in favor? That is carried.